What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another weather forecast here by Agent Weather Forecast, and this is going to be another update here on major windstorm Viola, as it is going to bring in extremely heavy snow for areas once again across the south central, where Yuri obviously hit a few days ago, and as well looking at a major mid-Atlantic snowstorm from this. So definitely a lot to talk about. We are talking a very significant and widespread snowstorm once again. However, it's going to kind of impact more of the northeast this time instead of the south central. But if you guys want to get updates on this, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon. And if you really enjoyed the video, be sure to like the video. And if you have any questions, be sure to drop them in the comments below. But without further ado, let's get into this video. So this is a look at the National Weather Service, and as you can tell, we do have already windstorm watches in effect for a major windstorm Viola across portions of the Tennessee Valley all the way up to New England. So in those watches, we can expect 3 to 5 inches of snowfall, and we have warnings once again across portions of the South Central, including Austin as well, including Dallas once again. So definitely not something you want to see at all whatsoever in this area right here, because obviously these areas got absolutely, they just got hit really hard by windstorm Uri. I believe we already have 30 deaths, sadly, from Uri in general, or anything related to Uri. We've had 30 deaths, but warnings have been issued for the areas that got hit very hard from Uri. So this is something you don't want to see whatsoever, a back-to-back storm, especially in the South Central. We have millions out without power, so this is just going to be adding on to the stress and adding on to the damage that's already been done by Uri. So the whole state of Arkansas is under a warning again, just like what happened with Uri. And we have windstorm warnings across much of eastern Texas, much of northern Louisiana, much of northwestern and central Mississippi, all of Arkansas, western Tennessee, and as well much of Oklahoma in general. And that should be seeing either some dangerous ice in these areas or some heavy snow in these areas here. And as well, some advisories are issued across areas to the north there near the Upper Ozarks and the Central Plains. A few advisories as well have been issued towards the west. We'll be seeing some lower snowfall totals, and hard freeze warnings are in effect here for those areas in the dark purple, where we'll be seeing wind chills in the single digits for some of these areas, even some teens as well. So the cold is not over yet. Watches, of course, stretching from the Ohio River Valley to New England. So we're looking at another big nor'easter here impacting a lot of areas like DC, New York City, Boston, and as well even Philadelphia. So this is where the snow is going to kind of develop within the next few hours. Again, kind of going to be a lot more to the north than Uri. It's going to kind of stay out of these areas, which obviously got hit very hard by Uri. But this is going to kind of be more of a northern storm. I guess Viola is going to be a more northern storm compared to Uri, which is obviously good, but some areas are still going to get hit very hard by ice, like Austin, San Antonio. Another storm is coming in for you guys, as the cold there is going to continue to stay here. Luckily, after this storm, you guys should be done with winter in general, so it should warm up very soon. That snow is going to stay more to the north there in Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Fayetteville, Fort Smith, and as well in far northern Texas, like Gainesville, and those areas north of Dallas. But we're looking at the dangerous part here, the ice. Obviously, the ice weighs a lot more, and the ice is just more dangerous in general, as especially it's going to affect kind of more southern areas here. So you can kind of see the ice will be a big threat across Lufkin, Austin, portions in south central Texas, and as well that very heavy snow once again going to start affecting areas like Dallas, Tyler, Shreveport, Texarkana, and obviously eventually make its way into Mississippi. But the ice is going to thankfully stay out of Lake Charles, stay out of Houston mainly, where those areas are still really recovering from Uri. But the bad thing is Austin, Dallas, San Antonio, these areas got really hit hard by Uri. That's kind of where we have most of our power outages. And the bad thing is the ice and snow is going to be moving into these areas, specifically between, obviously we have the snow kind of now there in Oklahoma, but in the next few hours there, around the next 6 to anywhere from 6 to all the way 18 hours, that is going to be a big threat here. So another long snowstorm by tomorrow at around the early afternoon, or I guess late morning. That snow will be continuing to bring in some dangerous conditions across much of Arkansas, especially right here right on the border with Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, but looking at some more dangerous icy conditions across eastern Texas and as well central and northern Louisiana. But let's go ahead and take a look at the NAM 3 kilometer. This would have, of course, in the next few hours, of very heavy snow kind of continuing across Oklahoma and northern Texas. But as the colder comes in overnight, the ice will continue to develop across central Texas and southern Texas, of course. We have some dangerous conditions in these areas, but of course, heavy snow will be a big threat, especially where we have those winter storm warnings there. In the next 24 hours, that snow, of course, is going to continue to be a big threat across Arkansas, northern Texas, and as well, even the tip there of northern Louisiana. And then it's a whole different story in the next 30 hours. Dangerous and heavy ice across Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi, while we have that very heavy snow kind of more towards northern Arkansas, central Arkansas, and far western Mississippi and Tennessee. But really looking at some very heavy snow from the system. In the next kind of 24 hours, that snow is going to make its first appearance across these areas in the Ohio River Valley there in that general region. But it's going to get a lot worse in the next 30 hours when that main system makes its way here. Very heavy snow across Tennessee, Arkansas, and Mississippi, just like what Uri did. But it's going to kind of impact even more like eastern Kentucky now. It's going to start affecting even West Virginia. So Uri was kind of more towards the west. It kind of went this way, but this one's going to kind of go, Viola's going to kind of go more to the east here, which is why it'll be a larger nor'easter. But heavy snow across Nashville areas as well, much of Kentucky as well. That snow stretching as far west as the other side of the Mississippi River. In the next 48 hours, that snow's going to continue. But we're talking very heavy snow across areas like Cincinnati, Lexington, southern Indiana, another storm for you guys. And then we have the backside of that system to bring in some more additional snow across areas like Evansville, Poplar Bluff, Memphis, as well, even Paducah, Louisville, and as well as Cincinnati. So a pretty significant storm for these areas, but obviously it's going to kind of impact more towards Kentucky now, Tennessee, and as well portions of West Virginia. Charleston going to get hit really hard. Same thing as well with eastern Ohio. Looking at the northeast as well, you can kind of see that snow's going to really kind of become a bigger threat across the mid-Atlantic as that colder does kind of get influenced by a high pressure, which has now moved more towards the east here. So it's going to bring in that deep cold air across these areas, meeting with that low pressure. Perfect scenario for some nice snow. And this will actually be another big inland nor'easter. Dangerous icy conditions across the areas like D.C., but very heavy snow across New York City, the tri-state region, much of the northeastern coast, with that snow stretching as far west as Indiana. So we're looking at a very widespread storm once again. Again, these storms are just getting a lot larger. In the next 48 hours or so, that snow is possibly going to bring in whiteout conditions across the tri-state area. And still going to be seeing some more additional snow across the Great Lakes, more snow for Detroit, more snow for Cleveland, more snow off in general Lake Erie, including Buffalo. And then, of course, as this low pressure gets closer to the coast, the snow will push its way more north, including now areas like Toronto, making its way into Albany, the Adirondacks, and as well later in these higher elevations in the Appalachians. So here's a look at the next 18-hour outlook for snowfall, and we're looking at, of course, a more northern track here. You can kind of see most of that snow will kind of stay in Oklahoma, northern Texas, and as well Arkansas. So we may see a trace or so near Austin. We may see a few inches additional for Dallas, an additional 3 to 4 inches of snow. But really looking at this general area right here is kind of we're really watching, maybe get areas over half a foot. Texarkana can get an additional 5 to 6 inches of snowfall and can get some very good snow in southwestern Arkansas. We can get possibly 7+ inches. But Oklahoma in general going to get a very big storm out of this, which is why 90% of the states under a warning can see most of southern Oklahoma to see possibly scattered areas of 7 to 9 inches. But the general state in general can get anywhere from 5 to possibly 8 inches. Little Rock 2 to 3 inches additionally, but we will start to see that snow widespread after the next 18 hours here. But really looking at a very widespread storm again for the South Central. Total snowfall according to the European, of course, you can kind of see some lower totals, 3 to 4 inches there across Oklahoma, northern Texas, and as well far western Arkansas and Missouri near the Ozarks, and as well another area of snowfall across Louisiana, Arkansas, and the Texas border. Again, this is the area to watch right here. And then we have some very good snow really washing anywhere from the Tennessee Valley to the northeast coast, possibly seeing an additional half foot for the tri-state area, and could possibly see those higher elevations here in West Virginia and Maryland to possibly see over a foot of snow. So we're looking at a good anywhere from 6 inches from Tennessee all the way up to Long Island. We can possibly see over half foot of snowfall. That's including DC, including possibly Murfreesboro, I guess East Central Tennessee, Southeastern Kentucky, much of West Virginia, Southern Pennsylvania, including Philadelphia, possibly 6 to 8 inches there for Baltimore, maybe 6 to 8 inches there for DC, and then kind of more towards the south, we can possibly see 3 inches there for Huntsville, possibly 2 to 4 inches there for Tupelo, maybe 1 to 3 inches there across Nashville. So we're looking at a very widespread storm. The GFS is kind of going all out here, possibly getting near 2 feet of snow across Virginia, West Virginia, and as well Maryland, getting as well near half foot or more across areas of much of Louisiana there, across Alexandria, across Shreveport, and as well across areas like Monroe, and as well getting up to maybe a scattered trace to an inch across central Texas. So that's definitely something we don't want to see whatsoever. Maybe additional 1 to 3 inches there for Nashville, but really looking at focusing kind of the northeast here in the mid-Atlantic. We can get, according to the GFS, a foot and a half for DC, possibly even half foot across the Great Smoky Mountains as well in North Carolina, even some good snow near Greensboro and Durham. But we're looking at possibly a big coastal event if the GFS plans out here. Half a foot from Boston all the way to areas like Asheville, and from Asheville, another scattered area all the way up to Shreveport. But hope you guys enjoyed this short video. I will have another video on this tomorrow, and see you guys later.